begin the presentation session. This session is composed of 3 different presentations. May I introduce Dr. Chi Song, the Chief Director of the Division of Global Innovation Strategy from Stepi, to make his presentation on science, technology, innovation, economic development, and development cooperation. Dr. Song, please.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. This is Chi Song, as Ms. Park introduced. This is the title presentation I have today. I'm going to talk about science, technology, and innovation in the context of economic development and development cooperation. Let me start with this question. Why? Why do we have to talk about science, technology, and innovation when we're talking about economic development and development cooperation? The answer that comes from me, comes from very famous economists such as Joseph Schumpeter, Robert Solow, and Paul Romer. Joseph Schumpeter is very famous for his historical remarks on technological innovation along with entrepreneurship and creative destruction. He said that the technological innovation is very important as kind of a main driver of economic development. How about Robert Solow? Professor Solow suggested that the permanent growth is achievable only through technological progress. If there is no technological progress, then nobody can secure the sustainable economic growth. It's his suggestion in his theory. And how about Paul Romer? Paul Romer actually introduced the research sector as one of the main production sector in the economy. He explicitly emphasized the importance of research in economic activities in his very famous endogenous growth theory or model. And what's the role of the research sector in his endogenous growth theory? Paul Romer said that the research sector produced new knowledge by using incumbent human capital and existing stock of knowledge. So new design, new product, new process. That's kind of a source of innovation. Yes. And why the new knowledge is so important? New knowledge will make the production of new capital goods possible. And final goods producers will use these new capital goods and they can enhance the quality of their product. And also, new knowledge will increase total stock of knowledge in the society. And this the increase in the total stock of knowledge will enhance the quality of human capital. Yes. Technology is so important, but how to produce it? Let me do this. And how to produce it? How to get it? How we can get the technology? Once again, I'd like to visit the suggestions from the very famous economists. For example, Joseph Schumpeter mentioned that there should be monopoly profit, entrepreneurship, and market power. If we cannot reap out the profits from the new technology, then we cannot have any kind of incentive to do that. That's his main suggestions. How about Robert Solow? The most important one is the academic achievement. Actually, in his model, Robert Solow did not mention the source of technological progress. That's why he said that that's unexplained change. So many economists called it Solow residue. But Robert Solow said that actually technological progress can be made through the economic incentives. Means that somebody who wants to reap out the economic profit, they are going to do some kind of research and make technology. The key is the technology here. That's why I mentioned the technology. Robert Solow, Joseph Schumpeter, and Paul Romer, they all mentioned about the technology. But if we try to, or if we want to develop the technology, if we want to get the technology, there should be very strong science base. Because science is kind of a source for the technological development. Sometimes it plays as a direct source of new technological ideas, or sometimes the science provide kind of infrastructure like a laboratory and tools and engineering designs. Then technology is a source of innovation. Then what's the innovation? The society should have innovative capabilities. Innovation, as I mentioned here, is a process by which new products, processes, methods, or services are created. So there should be innovative capability. There should be some kind of capability that combine those new technologies and make any kind of economic progress. So strong base of science and innovative capabilities is very important for the production of a new technology. And how about developing countries? So Joseph Schumpeter is an economist from the Austria, and also the Robert Solow and Paul Romer. All those economists, actually their suggestions, their theory is most likely based on more developed countries. And how about developing countries? They can produce, they can develop, they can get the technology just like the same way with the more developed countries? I'm not so sure. It's not easy to develop technology for the developing countries. Why? The first one is that, as an economist, I have to say the market. Weak market mechanism, a minimal market mechanism. Somebody say that it's a market failure, but others say that market failure is correct answer because there are none kind of very weak market mechanism, sometimes no market, not market failure. And how about the characteristics of technology or R&D? R&D and technology, there are kind of very strong characteristics like public goods. What's the public goods? In non-rival and partially excludable. Somebody developed the technology, but others can use it without paying for the cost. Means that free rider effect. In this case, there is no strong protection or no government intervention. Then those kind of private players, they cannot reap out the profits. In this case, there is no between. Doing research, regardless of the economic benefits, or just to stop the research. So, in developing countries, like Korea in 1960s and 1950s, if government cannot do anything, then no private player can produce or develop the technology only based on the private profits. Yes. Please look at the third one, the non-convexity, means that extreme choice. So we have to say that there should be or there will be too little research in the developing countries because of the public goods characteristics embedded in the technology development and R&D. So if there is no strong government policy, then the knowledge or technological development can be made only learning by doing. And in this case, learning by doing, it cannot make a huge impact, cannot create a kind of a critical mass. So R&D is very important, but not affordable for the developing countries. So we need a government mission, the government policy. We call it science and technology policy. In the context of development cooperation, here, we need to support the government of our partner countries. We have to support them. Then they can execute and plan and evaluate their government policy, science and technology policy. And we have to support them to build up the very strong and capable research sector. Then they can produce their own knowledge and technology, and they can use it for their industrialization and for their innovation. But not only the research sector is the problem. For most of developing countries, all those sectors are their own homework. How to build up the production sector, the final goods production sector, and how about the intermediate goods production sector, and also how to the bridge between the industry and the research. All those are kind of very critical issues for most of the developing countries. How can we do that? Here, I have to say that we need a big push. What's the big push? It's a big force we need here. In order for the airplane to take off, there should be a critical ground speed. If there is no critical ground speed, the airplane cannot take off. So government should make a huge investment here, critical mass. Now, let me visit the Korean experience here, Korean big push. Let me start with here, the Korean big push, three-headed monster. In 1959, the Korean government established KAERI, Korea Atomic Energy Research Institute. The Korean government in 1950s recognized the importance of energy. If we do not have any kind of a sustainable energy, the Korean government thought that we cannot pursue the industrialization. First established the Energy Research Institute, and then the Korean government established KIST, Korea Institute of Science and Technology, mainly dealing with the industrial technology. The later, defense. What's the role of defense? Actually, here is the technology, but also the defense plays a kind of a public market. There's a lot of public procurement happened. So, defense, industry, and energy is a big three, the principal agenda for the Korean government at the time. Here. Actually, this is really a big push here. The second line, the KIST, $9 million in 1960s. At the time, the GDP per capita of Korea is less than $200. In this situation, the Korean government invested more than $9 million for just one research institute. What does it mean? It means that the Korean government actually realized that importance of technology. If we do not have the kind of the technological platform, then we cannot pursue the technological development we need for our industrial development. It's kind of a signal to everybody. This country is really emphasizing the importance of technology. Everybody understands that. That's really a Korean big push. After that, the Korean government established Science Park and also the kind of a research cluster in order to boost the research activities in Korea. And also, in early stage of economic development as well as early stage of S&T development, the international cooperation played a huge role in Korean history. For example, the Minnesota project, supported by the US government, actually provided a lot of educational and training opportunities to Korean professors, the medical doctors, engineer professors, and scientists. And also, the Japan and Germany provided a lot of support. They provided a lot of educational and opportunities, provided a lot of infrastructures like materials, the equipment, and tools for the research. So, Korea was able to develop the science and technology as well as Korea was able to make a huge successful industrialization on the basis of global cooperation. That's why we have to emphasize the importance of a global cooperation in science and technology as well as economic development here. And then Korean government set up the science and technology policy corresponding to their national strategy, the economic plan, as well as industrialization strategy. Means that not just the scientific performance, not just the scientific outcomes. The Korean government always tried to match up those kind of scientific and technological progress into the industrialization process, production, the process, the industry. That's why we were able to make a huge success in terms of economic growth and later economic development and social development. As we all know, in 1950s and 1960s, the basic science is not the strongest feature of the Korean situation. Means that we did not have very strong the basic science the capabilities at the time. But Korean government decided to jump up. As Dr. Ham mentioned, we skip. Actually not skip. Actually, there is no way for us to do that because time limit, we did not have enough resources. We cannot wait. Before we do that, first move up to the industrial sector. Let's develop the industrial technology and apply the technology first. And then we go back to the basic science after 1990s. The most important one is that the Korean government actually invested a lot of money on the human resources development. In 1972, Korean government established KAIST, Korea Advanced Institute of Science, in order to provide the very capable human resources to the research sector. And after that, the Korean government applied different kind of educational program, scholarship. In 1970s, it's chemical engineering. In 1980s, it's computer science. In 1990s, the bioscience and bioengineering. In 1970s, one of the top students actually entered into the chemical engineering program and the mechanical engineering program. In 1980s, top of the top high school students actually entered into the computer science programs. In Korea, Naver and the NCSoft and Nexon, we have a lot of good IT companies, very big companies, as we all know. All those founders, all those kind of very famous CEOs, actually they entered into the computer science program in this time, 1985, 1986, and 1987. They are kind of the key men at this moment. They lead ICT sector. Yes, we were able to achieve a very good industrialization process. We have very strong industries in terms of here automobile, shipbuilding. I think it's a steel industry and petrochemicals, and also semiconductor, mobile phone, and display. How it was possible? Because Korean government invested a lot of money on the human resources development. In 1970s, a lot of graduates from the chemical engineering and the mechanical engineering program. Graduate from the computer science in 1980s, they all contributed the huge development of the main industries. Here, I think this is the final, the section of my presentation, I think. Development cooperation with Korea. Why with Korea? I have to say that. Yes. As Professor Solo pointed out earlier, if developing countries can receive better technology and information, then they can move forward more quickly. They can make more rapid industrialization. They can achieve more and better economic performance if they can receive better technology and better information. Korea. I think I have to say, the Korea virtually is the only country that transformed or transit its economic structure from the traditional agricultural sector economy to the modern industrialized economy after 1945, after the Second World War. This is the only country. As I mentioned, Korean government planned and implemented very strong government policy, science and technology policy, and utilized the international cooperation very effectively. So we have our own experience from bottom to the near top, using technology and science and utilizing international cooperation. Our experience, in my opinion, is very applicable, very reliable to our partner countries. So let's transform the development via or through science, technology, and innovation with Korea. As Korean government also has provided a lot of development cooperation programs. For example, the Ministry of Strategy and Finance, they have KSP program. This ministry also has EDCF. And how about Ministry of Foreign Affairs? SCOICA provide a lot of training programs, and also the number of or the volume of ODA project is increasing consistently. And how about Ministry of Science and ICT? Recently, this ministry set up STI ODA activation plan and tried to increase the action. And Stepi actually participated in this the process of setting up this new plan. And also, the Ministry of Science and ICT, it has very strong kind of tools for the future. Development cooperation with our partner countries is R&D, National Research Council of Science and Technology. And this is the scope of a development cooperation activities we can have together with our partner countries. Policy consulting, education training, joint R&D, commercialization, and innovation cluster. Here, I think Stepi can contribute to several kind of activities. For example, already we are doing the policy consulting programs project with our partner countries from 2014. And also, we are dealing with a lot of projects mainly focusing on innovation cluster. For example, the Stepi has executed the IT Park, the master plan, setting up project with EDCF, Korea Exim Bank, with Pakistan. The main goal of STI ODA or STI development cooperation is to the human development. This is the most important one, human. Who can do R&D, who can do innovation, who can do business, who can do some kind of a cooperation. So this is the final goal, or at the same time, this is the starting point. So we have to say that the human development is the most important one, and the most the critical one. Still, we have some critical issues in terms of science, technology, and innovation in the context of economic development as well as the development cooperation. How we can measure the effectiveness or outcome of development cooperation utilizing science and technology. For this, we have to have a very clear concept or action scope of development cooperation based on the science and technology. So we need a kind of a standard classification. But at this moment, the OECD DOC has not have a very strong or clear the classification about SNT development cooperation or SNT ODA. The why? Yes, science, technology, innovation. Many people say that it's cross-cutting issues. Yes, can be applied to everywhere. It's embedded in every component. I mean, what does it mean, the cross-cutting? I think, in my opinion, when we talk about cross-cutting issues, then we have to think about some kind of feature from the public goods. Means that if there should be any strong kind of a center forces, like a government, then nobody will take care of it. How we can handle it, these problems, these issues? At this moment, I don't have answers. But I have to say that the Stepi is going to have some kind of a serious dialogue with our partners like OECD and Korean government, like the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Science and ICT, and the Ministry of Strategy and Finance. And also we have to have a lot of dialogue with private sectors. Actually, in this September, we are going to have the workshop with the OECD. And we are going to talk about science and technology and innovation in the context of economic, no, not economic development, it's development cooperation. How we can classify, how we can measure it. We are going to bring this issue on the table to the international organization. Then we can set up more strong classification, and then we can make progress, is my opinion. So finally, I have to say that science, technology, and innovation is a critical factor, as we all agree today, and how we can pursue it along with our partner countries. So we have our own experience, Korea. In my opinion, Korea is one of the best partners for all the developing countries. We have the experience. And Stepi is going to contribute by providing a lot of policy consultings, dealing with a lot of R&D programs, foresight, and also we can handle some issues about how to establish innovation clusters. And also we are going to talk to the OECD DAC and our government that how we can measure it. And then maybe next, maybe Dr. Kim will talk about the specific programs we have, and also Dr. Park will talk about more general issues here. So I think here I have to finish my presentation, and I think enough. My presentation enough because I just raised the issues here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Song. We will now have second presentation by Dr. Wang Dong Kim, the head of the Office of ODA Project from Stepi, and he will speak about the role of Stepi in STI ODA. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Wang Dong Kim. I'm Senior Research Fellow of Stepi. I'm in charge of Office of STI ODA project. In the previous presentation, Dr. Song mentioned the role of STI on economic development and ODA. In my presentation, one step further, I will deal with the role of Stepi, our organization, in STI ODA. For this, I'll first examine the current status of STI ODA in Korea, and then I will look at the STI ODA activities in Stepi, our organization, and finally, I will look at the role of Stepi in STI ODA. As you know, UN adopted 2030 development agenda. The paradigm of ODA has been changed from MDGs to SDGs. SDGs replaced the MDGs, which ended in 2015, covering more broad range of coverage, such as economic development and environmental sustainability. Especially, moreover, the Goal 9, build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. The Goal 9 triggered the importance of STI. The importance of STI could be proved by Korean experiences on STI-based economic growth. As you can see here, as you know, Korea has achieved phenomenal growth over the past 50 years. For example, in 1960s, the GDP per capita is only $80, but it is skyrocketing to the over $30,000 in 2017, based on strengthening STI. And then, why STI is important in sustainable development? I think STI, as just previously, Dr. Song just mentioned, STI sector is characterized as the cross-cutting. So it could be fundamental solutions for global challenges. That is, in order to solve the various global challenges such as poverty, health, education, environment, and energy, things like that, the support from the STI should be crucial. And then, what is the current status of ODA in Korea? As you can see here, the total volume of investment of ODA has been increasing. And as you can see there, the ODA investment per GNI is in 2006, 0.05%. But it has been skyrocketing 0.14% as of 2015. Even if the absolute proportion is not high comparing to the OECD average as of 2015, but the total investment in ODA sector has been increasing. But STI ODA sector in Korea is not yet high. As you can see here, the total ODA budget as of 2017 is $2.4 billion US. Among them, total S&T related budget as of 2017 is $376 million US, accounting for 15.7%. As you can see below, the ODA investment from MSIT means Ministry of Science and ICT, is $11.6 million US. And it accounts for only 3.1%. Comparing to the most, Ministry of Strategy and Finance is 55.2%, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is 23.1%. This means the STI ODA in Korea has not met the globally changing paradigm in ODA. So far, I have explained the current status of STI ODA in Korea, and then, so far, how our organization, Stepi, has responded the demands from the ODA. From now, I'd like to introduce the STI ODA activities in Stepi in our organization in more detail. Since 2010, the demand of STI ODA from overseas has been gradually increasing. Against this backdrop, Stepi established the Aicc, International Innovation Cooperation Center, in 2014 in order to actively respond to the needs from the overseas. As you can see here, Aicc was renamed as Office of Sti ODA Project in late December 2017. The major activities of Aicc, our unit, are threefold. The first activity is policy consultation. Aicc has been running K-Innovation program since 2014, funded by Ministry of Strategy and Finance, and Aicc also has been doing the project with Quikha, Exim Bank, IDB, etc. on a contractual basis. And the second activity is education and training. The exemplary case of education training program is EECBP, Engineering Education Capacity Building Program with the Ethiopian government, and the TEP, Technology and Policy Program funded by Quikha. And third activity is S&T Global Network. Aicc has been holding international conference on STI and development, and we are now holding S&T ODA from quarterly in order for promoting the ODA network domestically. The strategies of Aicc are unique and practical comparing to the other ODA program in Korea, such as KDI, KSB program, and KOICA and EDCF program. The first strategy of Aicc is implementation-oriented. Aicc is now focusing on providing specific means of policy implementation, just moving beyond the providing, just only presenting the policy, general policy orientation or direction. And the second strategy is learning by doing. Aicc is also focusing on providing or strengthening policy capacity of the government officials by using participative approaches, moving beyond just providing one-side experience sharing. And third strategy is client needs-based. Aicc is trying to seek to address global agendas, not in the Korean perspective, but in the perspective of partner countries. And the coverage of Aicc in terms of partner countries has been dramatically expanding. As you can see here, regarding K Innovation Program is funded by now Ministry of Strategy and Finance. It started with only one country, Ethiopia, from 2014 to 15, but in 2016 to 17, Peru and Ecuador were added, and 2018, this year, it is increased to 8 countries. And next year, 2019, the number of partner countries will be increased more. In terms of budget, as of 2018, is $1.5 million US. This is funded by Ministry of Strategy and Finance. Not only volume of budget or coverage of partner countries, but also performances also have been remarkable. What are remarkable? As you can see here, in terms of policy consultation regarding Ethiopia project, in 2014, Korean experts consulted the establishment of S&T specialized university. As per consultation by Korean experts, Ethiopian government designated 2 S&T specialized universities. And from 2015 to 17, Korean experts consulted the methodologies of developing national technology roadmap. And as a result, Ethiopian government officials developed their own technology roadmap in 20 industrial sectors and their action plans in 8 industrial sectors with the help of Korean experts. And this project has very special meanings for ODA performances. What are the special meanings? What does that mean? This project was not just delivering report, but this project's consultation was materialized into Ethiopian policy in action. Peru project was also worth to be mentioned. In 2016 to 17, Korean experts consulted the methodologies of developing national technological innovation program in Peru. As a result of this, Peruvian government officials also drafted their own technology innovation program and finally launched their policy and program like this one on the right hand. This program also has very special meanings. That is, policy consultation from the Korean experts was not just delivering report, but was literally realized into Peruvian policy. Regarding education and training program performed by Stepi Aicc, the EECBP Engineering Education Capacity Building Program is very exemplary. In 2016, Stepi was requested from Ministry of Education in Ethiopia to support the recruitment of Korean SME experts to Ethiopian universities. For example, President, Vice President, founder deans, scientific directors, and managing directors, etc. 2 experts have been dispatched so far. One is German professor, one is Korean expert. The volume of budget of this project is 2.5 million euro, equivalent to 3.1 million US dollars per year. This program is for 5-year program and funded by Ethiopian government, not by Korean government. And this program also carries the special meanings. That is, this program also is the first case of exporting high-qualified Korean scientists and engineers to the partner countries by their own fund, not by Korean fund. And as an exemplary case of global network is International Conference on Sti and Development. This conference has been held every year since 2015, and we cooperated with the World Bank and other sponsors, KOICA, SNU, KEI, Korea Environment Institute, and UNESCO, etc. And this conference aims to discuss STI development cooperation and to share knowledge and information between experts and to expand the exemplary cases to the partner countries. This program has been very successful, we think, in terms of expanding STA ODA activities domestically and internationally. As a result of our effort, the global network of Stepi has been expanding all around the world. As you can see here, Stepi has been signed the MOU with about 40 institutions all over the world. So far, I have explained the STI ODA activities in Stepi, and then what should be the role of Stepi in STI ODA. This is a very important agenda for us. We Stepi are now visioning to emerge as a STI ODA platform. As you can see here, by playing a role, these kinds of roles, 4 roles. The first role is knowledge provider, policy advisor, cooperative player, and network facilitator. These 4 roles are our missions in the following. Firstly, we will play a role of knowledge provider as a PMC, Project Management Consultancy. As you know, Stepi has been a reservoir of Korean experience in STI policy sectors over the 30 years. We have strengths in multidisciplinary areas in STI policy sectors. STI system and governance, R&D system, technology forecasting and roadmap, technology transfer and commercialization, and STI Park, SMEs, and STI human resources, etc. So we are there to say, I'd like to dare to say, we are ready to share Korean experiences with partner countries. As of 2018, we are now cooperating with over 10 countries, and in the near future, next year, we will work with over 12 countries, not only in Asian countries, but also Africa and Latin America and Caribbean countries as well. Secondly, we will play a role of a policy advisor as a think tank. So far, we have tried to do that, but it is not successful, we think. But in the near future, from now on, we will actively support for Korean government in developing STA ODA related policies, plans, and guidelines, and preparing STA ODA cooperative agenda with the partner countries, etc. And for strengthening linkages with government officials, we were trying to hold regular policy dialogues with government officials to share the pending issues in STI ODA areas and to coordinate the policy direction strategies in STI ODA sector. Thirdly, we will also play a role of a cooperative player as a partner. With domestic organizations, we have been actively cooperating with KOICA, Exim Bank, KDI as well. For example, with KOICA, Stepi conducted Colombia project from 2015 to 16, and we are now conducting projects with the Nepal government. And with Exim Bank, we are carrying out, and we already carried out in Pakistan, Paraguay, and Tanzania. So from now on, we will actively expand our effort with domestic organizations. And regarding international organizations, and we have been successfully and very actively cooperating with the IDB in Chile, Uruguay, Paraguay project, but not yet. With ADB and AFDB, there has been no cooperative actions with us. But in the near future, we try to expand our effort to ADB and AFDB as well. And with World Bank, we also have been very closely cooperating with World Bank for joining and for holding first to third international conference on STI and development. And in the near future, from now on, we are trying to change our interest from not just holding international conference, but to joining R&D activities as well. And with the UNESCOP, recently, we signed the MOUs early this year for strengthening STI policy networks among especially East and Northeast Asian countries. And with the UNDP, we conducted the first phase 5-year project from 2010 to 15, and we are now conducting second phase 5-year project from 16 to 20. Lastly, the first role is we will play a role of a network facilitator as a platform. As I just said before, we have held STI ODA from 13 times in total since 2014, and this forum aims to share STI ODA related knowledge and facilitating network among relevant stakeholders. And from now on, we are planning to hold 2 times a year, and we also have been held International Conference on STI and Development 3 times since 2015 every year. We are also trying to hold 1 time a year. So far, I have explained the role of Stepi in STI ODA in domestically and globally. As I said just before, Stepi marked the 30th anniversary last year. In the last 30 years, Stepi has successfully played a role as a domestic STI policy think tank. But in the next 30 years, we will reborn as a global STI policy think tank by strengthening global mission, such as a hub of multi-cooperation and as STI ODA platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kim. The next presentation is by Dr. Hwanil Park, the head of the Office of Multilateral Cooperation Project from Stepi, and he will speak about the STI for the climate-induced mitigation and sustainable development.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Hwanil Park, a research fellow from Stepi. I'm so happy to present my research outcome, which was performed in 2013. This presentation material is updated and modified from the 2013 research paper. The two previous speakers from Stepi showed their insight and theoretical background about the STI in the terms of development cooperation. Also, they presented the real activities of Stepi in STI ODA. But my presentation is a little bit different. It's based on the data analysis and policy suggestions for each players in STI for sustainable development. Today, I'm going to talk about the climate-induced risk and its countermeasures by analyzing sample cities in Korea. There are several implications for government and business. I hope that my presentation helps understand the interactions between the climate risk and sustainable development, and how the STI can contribute to mitigate the relevant risk. The follow-up discussion, I believe, can widen and deepen the implications that I suggested. As you know, the UN set 17 goals for the global sustainable development. Out of 17 goals, 15 goals directly or indirectly related to STI. This means that STI is believed to have a critical role to accomplish the SDGs. This graph shows the national STI priorities with the GLD-GDP ratio. The x-axis is the STI policy priorities, and y-axis is the GLD-GDP ratio of some countries. You may see the countries with GLD-GDP ratio between 2.0 and 4.0 place STI priorities on the sustainable and green growth, just like Korea and Israel. The World Economic Forum announces the global risk every year. This graph contains the 2018 global risk in terms of the probability and impact. The climate-related risks, such as the extreme weather and natural disasters, have been ranked as the top risk for a long time. Now it's time to think about how the sustainable development and climate risk are interacting, and what STI can do to mitigate the climate-induced risk and to foster the sustainable development. Let's look at the difference between climate change and climate variability. Many people equate climate change to global warming, but what people are really feeling is not a gradual rise in temperature, but extreme cold and heat or record drought, flood, and storms. These extraordinary weather events have become more frequent recently, causing major destruction and loss of lives. Climate variability means the change in variance of weather factors, such as temperature and precipitation. Climate change has a long-term effect that is relatively predictable for wide area, but climate variability has short-term shocks unpredictable for specific area, socially and economically. Let's see what is going on in Korea. I pick up two cities in Korea for weather data analysis. One is Seoul, which is a metropolitan city located inland. The other is Busan, the second largest city facing the southeast coast. The data period is from 1991 to 2017. Two variables, daily temperature and monthly precipitation, are used to calculate the climate variability. Since the two cities have different property in terms of geological location, I believe there must be some distinctive characteristics. This is the temperature trend in Seoul for the last 27 years. As you can see, the mean temperature is higher than the normal mean, but there is no specific trend found. Let's look at the graph at the bottom, which is the volatility of the mean temperature. The volatility is increasing over time, while the mean temperature is fluctuating over time. Where does the volatility come from? The answer is here. Summer is getting hotter and winter is getting colder. This phenomenon creates the volatility of temperature, and it leads to the climate risk. Let's move to Busan. This is the mean temperature for Busan for the same period. Similarly to Seoul, the mean temperature does not show a specific trend, but the volatility is definitely increasing. In Busan, the summer is getting hotter and the winter is getting colder, just like Seoul. Probably the other cities in Korea and also other places in the world may show the similar result. This graph at the top shows the annual precipitation in Seoul. You can see there is drought for the last 4 years, and the annual precipitation after 2010 is very volatile. This high volatility comes from the fluctuating precipitation in summer. In other words, the unexpected change in precipitation causes flood or drought, which lead to huge damage to the human being and nature. And this is a Busan case. The result is very similar. Okay. Intensifying the climate variability is raising concerns over its potential to cause major changes to lifestyle, business activity, and national crisis management system. Greater climate variability has a wide variety of negative effects on government, individuals, regional community, and companies. Among them are health safety concerns, increasing energy use, loss of infrastructure, higher food prices, and dislocation in business activity. This slide shows how the threat from climate variability are connected and spread out over government, business, and individual. The climate variability affects the food production and energy consumption. These are closely related with the SDG 1, no poverty, and SDG 2, zero hunger, and SDG 7, affordable and clean energy. The climate variability also makes the welfare and health worse, and they are connected to the SDG 3, good health and well-being, and SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. The climate variability caused the social infrastructure loss, which are closely related with the SDG 11, sustainable city and communities. Lastly, the climate variability affects business side directly and is connected to the SDG 12, responsible consumption and production. Then, how can you measure the climate risk? In this research, the impact of the climate variability are found in 5 sectors, such as health, living, energy consumption, food production, and government disaster management system. The risk of each event are measured in terms of the likelihood and the size of the impact. It is found that electricity peak demand is the highest likelihood event, and outbreak of new disease and spreading is the biggest impact event caused by the climate variability. The top 4 climate risks are selected as shown in the picture, and the countermeasures to the risk are described. The countermeasures include technology innovation in various fields, such as renewable energy, agriculture, finance, climate science, building and communities. Moreover, many technologies should be combined with ICT to produce more efficient outcome. Responding to the climate risk, there must be innovation opportunity in business sector shown in the picture. The opportunity could materialize in three ways. First, existing service can expand. For example, Google is providing a forecast service by using big data, and Swiss Re is developing solutions to resolve food problems from climate danger. Second is the growth of specialized companies in specific field. Japan's Weather News, a data supplier, Finland, Vaisala, a climate forecasting equipment maker, are good examples of how knowledge and technology in specific fields can lead to core business. Third is the emergence of small-scale ventures. Starting with a small number of employees and capital, they provide specialized product and service, while forming an alliance with large companies. At last, I would like to suggest several implications for Sti Cooperation. We need to consider Sti collaborative countermeasures against climate risk, such as developing data collection and analysis method, establishing Sti policies to encourage the private sector's participation. Specifically, let's explore areas for cooperation about data sharing with local and national level, as this can serve to support informed decision-making and help policymakers to address their various economic, environmental, and social challenges. Finally, it is very important to keep facilitating discussion to follow up on issues such as climate innovation relating to SDG in STI framework. Okay, this is all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Park.